Hello, hello. What's going on, guys? Cirrus, I see you're here. What's going on? Are you guys able to connect through Rhythmic today? Let's see what I'm... So actually, I don't... Okay, CQG works with my app account. Ah, okay. I think my accounts are locked. Common mistake. Easy fix. Good to know. So Apex works. I think it's because I'm locked out of my accounts. So where are we going? We going up higher? It's what it likes to do, but let's see what it does. It looks like it wants to bust through that and go up higher until Japanese markets open and Chinese markets open. No idea why I would have liquidation enabled. I thought I disabled it all Friday after the close, but guess not. One by one in two different, in my LLC and my personal account. One by one, disabling them. All right. Okay, everything's all good now. Yeah, it kind of looks like it wants to go higher, but it's not a very convincing move up. So it's either a buy-in opportunity if you think it's going to go higher, or potential sell opportunity. I mean, the way to account for both of them would be to buy here and set a stop loss at like 5 contracts to exit you out of the 2. Oh yeah, why is this motive wave version not retaining my template? Okay, good. So what are we doing? Basing out to go higher? That's kind of what it looks like, but it's not really wanting to. So basically just looking for a breakout of this range is going to determine where it goes. Pushing up, or just push up. So I'm just going to pull up ES. Yeah, they're both just chopping in this range. Oh, I'm on MNQ. Lovely. Let's get out of that. Can't get a break even? Okay, that makes sense. Well, we'll just let those ride. Damn. Okay, we locked in the $5 on that trade. So if it tops out here at 14 or near and just reverses, it's probably going to try to grind down lower, or at least grab more liquidity down here in order to shoot up. Yeah, and this guy is a big, that's definitely a spoofer. Interesting the symmetry though. 64, 73. Market makers want to hold it in this tight range for a breakout in one direction or the other. Did I get my email? No, I don't think so. I kind of got the impression that they wouldn't happen until 10 or 11 p.m. Central Time, based on what Scott had said. So no, I haven't gotten it. And I'm leaning towards Tuesday night, if I'm being honest. All right. This isn't great. So metals have been on a tear. Silver looks like it really wants to break out. And what are we doing here? No data? I mean, that's a pretty big damn move for silver. Look at that. It's had a, holy crap. It's already had a 43-point range. Okay. I don't understand what the emails are going to actually do for people. I think it's good to know, like, if you're being investigated for something, or to know right away if you're being considered as somebody who's flipping. How's it going, DB? Yeah, so no trades. I had to install, I had MotiveWave 6.9.8, and I needed to have 6.9.9. And then I also had, I took a trade, but I took it on MNQ instead in these 150K accounts instead of NQ. Yeah, so it looks like metals are getting more action. Not a huge range for gold. And copper doesn't have any data. That's probably about twice the normal range that you see with copper at this time. Usually it would just be like from here to here. Does look like these bad boys want to explode up. Copper is going to be strongly correlated to various Asian markets. As their economies do better, more copper is used and sold, some of it to us in the US. But China in particular uses a boatload of copper. Well, we all do. Man, I would have loved to catch this. Yeah, those are some big orders coming through. Silver really should. Metals aren't typically, well, the first hour of the Sunday Open, they get pretty active. And then they're dead until like 8 p.m. Central Time. So I'm gonna actually, boy, it's just, this looks like it's hard to go short on such a metal that's literally, it was like $31 Thursday night, $31.80 or something. It's up a lot, so there could be some selling off, but chances are any sell-off is going to get bought up. All right, so if we can get these accounts, let's see where I'm sitting. So I'm actually in a place where I don't need that many trades. Let's see if I can show this. So these are the 8 accounts that I have. I do need trades on this first group of 4 because they're only on day 3. But that's also so screwed up because of how the FTT submissions went. I couldn't submit on the 15th for these accounts because these 4 days were missing, October 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 7th. So it's totally unclear if I'm on like this 10-day payout period or if I just like completely lost these days, these 4 days. Either way, I'll be able to submit tomorrow, and I only need $1 in these accounts. Well, I don't need $1. I could lose a lot. I could probably lose about 3,000. Oh, and then yeah, I don't know how much I can lose. Probably about 3,000 and 2,000 to 3,000. The way that they have this calculated by default, it uses a max, which is just retarded because your max day is not going to be, change that back to 1. Oh, I got in a trade. Excellent. And these are the accounts that I don't need very much in. So one of the things that I've noticed with silver, at least at night, is it really likes these 5-cent increments. It's very, they act as resistance and support quite often. So I'm often getting out at a half a cent higher than where that, and trying to get in below, like say the 10 cent and out. That's just something I've noticed. Not sure how true it was tonight when it opens up like this, but made $1? Well, I only made $4 more than that. So yeah, going back to this. These accounts are good, and they're gonna, and then these accounts are really on day like 14, but because of how screwed up it is, I'll probably have to submit for these at the end there too, the end of the day. So I actually shouldn't even be trading these accounts. I should be trading yeah, and I had 8 of these in a personal account. I lost 4 of them. It's actually pretty shitty what happened. I was put into a trade on silver in the afternoon after I'd shut down. And then here's the real crazy part. Somehow I was in gold and silver at the open Tuesday. Like there were contracts that carried over, and I didn't even know that that was possible. We're getting some buyers that come in. Oh, and I don't, like I said, I don't need to be in this account. So I'm just checking out at $50 because I've literally traded these accounts every single day without any breaks. So I'm gonna take a break from those. Up 220 in NQ. You must have bought some of the dips. Imagine it went my way with silver fibs. Yeah. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a trade in on all these accounts and then just request. Maybe during regular trading hours, I'll do some 1 NQ or 2 NQ just to get a few hundred in there. But because of I have absolutely no clarity on where the hell my ticket is, whether or not these are going to be, because it matters which dates you use, and nobody's replied to my ticket on consistency. So I'm sort of just guessing here, because if these days aren't counted, then it would make sense to get between $2,000 and $3,000 today. If the 10 preceding days were used. Nice. Yeah, NQ. Yep. I mean, if it's just stuck in this range, you can basically just do that, buy the dip, sell off into strength. If you don't think it's gonna pop, maybe save a runner. But it's not looking too happy, NQ. How many trades do I make on average? Good question. Let's take a look at the FTT calendar that they have. So typically what I do is sometimes it's just one and done. If I hit something really well on either silver or NKD, it's usually one trade, but that's rarely the case. Oftentimes it's 2 or 3 trades that are good, and then just another 1 or 2 trades, either with, if the balances get mismatched, I'll have to fix those with MNQ, or if I know that my goal is not quite met for the day, I'll play small with like 1 to 2 NQ. But a day like this, where there's 40 trades, I don't know what happened. I think my gut tells me that I actually had a few bad trades, and so I had to take way more trades, because 40 trades is quite a bit. Hey, Cirrus, how do you, you must have it set up on OBS so that you can have people come into the Discord channel and then talk. Is that how you were doing it the other day? Yeah, mostly under 10 trades. And I would say that when you see larger numbers like 12 trades or 13 trades, it's because I'm doing a ton of really small trades from like 2,300 to get to this 3,200, so it's consistent, where I'm not risking very much and I'm just taking 200 to 400 at a time. Yeah, when you're live streaming. One thing I've noticed with MotiveWave is it's not great when you have to do an update with retaining all of the settings. Okay. Yeah, did you have like somebody call in, or was it in the voice chat in the Discord and you just linked that? We're using like Zoom or something? So this looks like it's going to dump. There's tons of buyers in here still with silver. Okay, that's one way to do it. Hopefully it has a continuation. Yeah, these accounts don't really need to be traded. So I'm going to, after I close this trade, I am going to log into the other set of accounts. Damn, I took a $250 loss in that first one. Okay, that was just bad. I should have closed these. Oil's dumping. Is this even the right month though? No, it can't be. It's still dumping. Gold is holding up. Okay, both those are holding up. So I'd be fighting the trend shorting it. What's the new flipping rule with FTT? I've seen so many different things. So the new flipping rule is if for your first 6 days, you meet your previous payout. So with the GTs, it's $3,000. If in those 6 days you make $3,000, you're then allowed to flip for the 4 remaining days in that 10-day period. I don't think it's 3 days. That's not what I read, but I think when you get in that situation, you're probably going to want to get a couple $100 anyways, just so that it doesn't appear to be flipping. I think if you go for the $1 for 4 days, even though it's technically allowed, you run the chance of any sort of rule improvement, rule change, really hurting you. Yeah, I think that this is going to chop around for a while. Urgh. All right, now we can break down. So if I was in a live account doing this, or even one with a trailing drawdown, I would start scaling out here with one contract. It's a pretty big psychological number, but you see the time in sales, how there's a pretty decent flush of red coming through. Okay, so we're not going to push it. I do look at the RSI and the MACD, and these accounts don't need to be traded, so I'm done. I'm out. Oh, weird. Let me show you guys what I'm looking at. It's saying that I'm still in the position. And now I'm long, apparently, or something. Jesus Christ. All right. So ideally, I'd want to get 225, and I have 3 contracts, and I'm still short. Seriously? Let's cancel all. Ain't that something? Oh, and our trader says that short 1 contract? Seriously, what's going on here? Okay. Yep, our trader was right. I am short 1 contract. So yeah, quality over quantity is definitely better. It just depends on your style. Like, if you look at how silver and gold are moving during the regular New York session, I mean, you can take breakouts like this from the daily high and get a significant amount of momentum, and then start buying in on a slight pullback, and you're gonna get continuations. And this is a 1, 2, 3 failed chop sideways, maybe pulls down and makes one lower low before it rips higher, but it just depends on volume. And oh man, you didn't fill me? Come on now. Well, I think it's going to do 1, 2, 3 push down to about here, and then it's either just going to rip down, or that's enough for buyers to come in and start buying it up. But it also depends a lot on, damn, I keep moving that. Sorry, guys. All right, so we're out of that. We got the account balances to match. So now I can log off and go to the other 4 accounts. Why is it better to trade futures? So generally speaking, it's not. If you're a beginner trader, it's probably way worse to trade futures, just because of the amount of risk. Like, I don't know if you're watching, but the number of ticks that it takes to get $25 for each half a cent in silver with one contract, you get $25. And it ripped like $1.30 or something higher on Monday. So what would that be? About $7,000. So you can see that the leverage is ginormous. That's why you can use futures to hedge, or you often use futures to scalp. Or if you want to take more of a longer term position, you can use micros, whether it's in a personal account or with a prop firm. Okay, so what did I get? 55 there and 425 here. So, I mean, yeah, they are a lot like options, but if you buy options, your maximum loss is defined by the amount of money, the amount of premium and intrinsic value that is associated with that option. So you have a cap to how much you lose. Whereas with futures, you do not have a cap. Your broker will liquidate you after a certain amount, and each one's a little different, but like AMP in a live account, think if you start the day with $10,000 and it just like blows through your stop and you lose $8,000, they'll stop you out at about that time at around 20%, if I remember. Okay, good question. I learned to read level 2 and time and sales with, well, mostly small cap stocks. What I look for, and it's good to talk about at night, right? Because it's super slow. What I look for with NQ specifically is I try to pick out where the market makers are. And the market makers are the ones that have a position size and move a certain a distance from the last price with the market. I don't know that these are market makers or if they're just large buyers and sellers. There was a time when you would see typically 50 contracts at about 20 points above and at about 20 points below. In my depth of market, I have these purple and green colors, which represent bids. So a negative is colored purple, and it means that there's a order on the book that's currently being pulled, and greens are stacking. So typically when you're seeing something bullish is you see a lot of 1s, 2s, and 3s continuing to move upward as support as the market climbs. Another thing that I look for is you're probably not going to see it right now. It won't be for several more hours. But if there's buyer exhaustion, it becomes pretty clear. You get a lot of sellers. But like these ones that stacked in here, they're highly susceptible to pulling if price gets up to here, this area. Because if they're truly selling, they're going to want to sell for a little bit higher price. And it's not very congested here. These are some larger orders, so it'll be interesting to see if it blows through these. So if I wanted like a super safe order right now, I would put a stop limit order to buy at the break of the high a day. This is probably, above 22 is probably safer for a couple reasons. One, because this 25 level seems to be a pretty good psychological level, where it would reverse, pull back maybe down to here and then run up. So if we can get to 26.25, pretty good chance it's going to pump up another 10 points. Like that's a high probability trade. So those are the sorts of things that so the market maker, I don't see a very good, a super obvious example of it right now. And it's definitely not going to be clear on ES. So the best way to explain, and I don't think that there's a lot of market makers that sort of the algorithms that govern the market makers seem to change from time to time. So the ones that are super obvious, I'm not seeing. I'm thinking maybe 17 is, but we have to watch it. It's not really moving with up as it moves up, and it's not pulling back as it moves down. So I can't really show you a good example of that right now. High probability that these are market makers. They're just not showing the behavior that. And what's the book? So the book is just another name for the bids and asks that are currently showed in the DOM, the depth of market. So book, level 2, price ladder are all analogous terms. Silver dump more. God dang it, I missed it. All right, well, first I have to have the right account selected. Man, this is all. Thank you, MotiveWave, for making my life harder. So how are futures priced? Good question. So each future contract so they're priced in ticks. Each level, as I'm showing it on the depth of market, like NQ is priced in 25-cent increments. Each of those increments is considered a tick, and $1 movement is $20 for NQ. For ES, it's 50. But you can see how little ES moves, and ES is a little bit more bullish right now than NQ during the regular trading days, regular trading hours. So each tick, so the pricing, you can just look up, if you go to like AMP future, so AMP is the broker that I use, and this like goes through what each of the, so these are the micros, something you'd use. And then I'm mainly using the minis. These are the two that I'm looking at. And they're doing it per tick. I tend to think of it in per dollar increment. Yeah, like this $20 times the index value, $50. So just to like go over how insane silver is. Currencies, energies, metals. Copper's pretty crazy too, but only if it moves. And I trade the HG, GC, SI. Every half a cent is $25. So even catching a move upward from the break of the high a day, 97 to wherever you wanted to sell it, maybe you thought on a big push up here, that would have been about 20 cents. So that would have been $1,000 off one contract to go from about 97.5 to up here. So that's a incredible amount of leverage. And if you're doing like $4,000 scales. All right, NQ. I gotta stop moving this. Wish I could just lock. So I don't think we have enough volume to push higher than that, but let's see. For silver. If gold breaks the high today, then yeah. But usually around this time they chop. What's mini? So there's two different like sizes. A mini is like the standard size that you see, where it's $50 per index value for ES. A micro is 1/10 of that, so it's $5 per index value. And the way that you tell them apart is, okay, this is my CQG, the symbols for CQG and Rhythmic, which are different data feeds, is different, but MNQ is the micro NASDAQ. And because of how odd it is, the naming convention, this is also NQ, but it's E-mini NASDAQ, ENQ. Whereas if you're using Rhythmic, it's going to be NQZ4. So the naming convention is a little different. We're going to fail at that point again. So what I'm doing is just getting a small trade in each of these accounts. And you can see here with silver, no, you guys can't see. You can only see part of it. Okay, it is getting overbought. Typically, one strategy that you would use to ensure that you're not entering too soon, like maybe I just did, is you'd wait for the RSA to cross back over some threshold. It could be 80 or 70. During this time of night, it's highly likely that you get this back and forth. And chances are it'll probably go down to here. And if it wants to really be bullish, it'll only go down to here. So because I'm looking for small trades, I'm going to put my order to exit there, and then I'm going to closely watch what's going on with gold, whether it's topping out. Yeah, those look too bullish to stay in a short very long with silver because they're strongly correlated. A little confused on the bid delta column. Right, okay. So the bid delta column, if there's 5 contracts here now, this -4 means there was previously 9. So the delta, see how it went down? And it updates with each change in the price. Does that make sense? So I've colored them different so that I can kind of see it out of the corner of my eye, just like these have a real dark black background with a red and green so I can see it more easily. What I don't like about this is there's a pretty solid stack of about 10 all through here. This 136 is the only thing preventing it from going higher. So I'm looking to exit. I like to call these places where there's fewer of them a vacancy. So even on a live account, you're going to have a higher probability that if it pushes through this block of buy orders, that it's going to get filled here before having to push through another block. So like you wouldn't want to if you were going long, you'd probably want to put a sell order before the 36 so that you could get out of it unless you were super confident it was going to rip through that. So I'm looking at vacancies and I'm looking how they're adding to this group here. None of these really pulled. This -1 was from a while ago. Well, no, this -1 was from recently, but okay, that one's recent. So you have to train your eye to see it. And the time and sales actually tell you what the reality is. This tells you how many people are on the bid side, how many people are on the ask side. The bid delta tells you how much it's changing. And the time and sales is telling you the orders that are actually getting executed. So a lot of times you see it push down and like a bunch of people pull and only one sale goes through. So this is stronger right now to the bid side. It looks like it's respecting the VWAP. But we'll see what it does. If you're looking at the book for futures, why would it tell you anything? Because the real price is based off the real stock. Okay. I think there's a little bit of confusion there. During regular trading hours, absolutely, this is going to be strongly correlated to the stocks that are in the NASDAQ. Right now, that's not going to be the case. And if we're talking silver, the silver future contract is its own instrument, and it trades 5 days, 23 hours for those 5 days. And so it has people that can hedge against other positions that they have. And yeah, there's like an ETF for silver, but for a commodity, this is a highly liquid, most of the time, well-traded instrument. It could be a bearish, or it could be, a lot of times what you see is they'll pull, they'll have let's say you have enough money to put on 50 contracts and you put them at different levels like this. But down here, your only goal is to get your 17 contracts filled. So you're going to make it seem like there's buying pressure, pull the rug, have people buy in at your 17, and then stack more orders down here below it to support your fills. So there's a little bit of like, I don't know if you want to call it manipulation or games that go on. So if a bunch pull, it could be bearish or it could be the wrong message. Exactly. You got to use everything at your disposal to build context. And building context at night for like NQ has a lot to do with other markets. So in about 59 minutes, the NKD is going to open, which is the Japanese Nikkei. And let's refresh this data because there's no way, well, I guess pre-market, that could be all of it. So one thing you might want to do is add to this position if it breaks below 0.5 and then just try to get out at, so you can take quick scalps if, for example, it breaks below this level, we would enter a short. I don't like that because of all the 10s that have been stacking in there, but it's a more reasonable thing to do if it breaks this level, potentially go down to here or here before finding buyers. Let me check these accounts. I have to remember which these, I think I need 3,200 in. Why is Google Docs so slow? So I uploaded a spreadsheet that I had in Excel. Well, that's funny. Okay. No, I need about 2,000. Okay. And I only have 3 trade days in, but I don't have an approval. So I requested here. So actually, I'm not going to even... That 25 jumped in there. Nice. Trying to push it up. Yeah, it's dumb to be short metals right now. Should just be looking for buying opportunities. Did make a higher high. Cancel the gold orders because it's pumping higher. And I'm out of this one. So I'd say the depth of market is probably one of the more challenging things to learn. But if you can sit for a couple hours each night and watch what NQ does, the knowledge that you gain from what's going on with stacking and pulling, even though it's slower, will transfer over better. And with time, you can develop your own methods and you'll see novel things that you think are worthwhile in terms of taking a trade, especially when used in conjunction with the charts. One of the things that NQ has done recently is it grinds up, and this is not very much at all, but it grinds up until the Nikkei opens, and then once it opens, NQ is either going to rip higher because of how correlated it is to NKD, or it's going to sell off. And sometimes there's more resistance with NQ selling off than there is because the Nikkei could drop like 2% and maybe NQ only drops 0.3% or 0.5%. But the general direction is strongly correlated. Okay, so we have a lot of buyers coming in. MACD is trying to cross over. It's showing a divergence with the RSI on this really short 10-tick time scale. And gold is marching higher. And copper isn't showing much of a sign of selling off. So what did I need in these? I need about 2,000. I'm going to wait until they open to do, which is at 8 o'clock Central Time. I think for the most part, it's going to be stuck in this range, but let's see. But yeah, so what is that? 2.5 cent move in silver with 2 contracts nets $250. I mean, that's just an insane amount of leverage. Good evening, Adolf. Do you always execute off the 10-tick chart? Yes, except during the day, I'll change ES to 50 tick. NQ, I like to see the little micro movements that it's making and how it's reacting at various levels on a really fine 10-tick scale. I don't suggest that. It's probably fine at night to use like 10, 20, 50, 100. But during the day, if you're just starting out, you're probably going to want to use 250, 500, 1,000 tick. It's going to be more like a 1 or 2 minute, where this is more a much smaller scale. Just lurking? What are you lurking for? You're not trading? Serious? What is going on with Motive Wave? So typically there should be an unrealized P&L here that's showing up, and it's not. And usually that means it's rhythmic issues for one reason or another. Nothing. Very interesting. And you guys that probably look at volume profiles, that's all this is here. I have some indicators on here that I don't really use. I use them more of a suggestion and to keep me, I guess, in line with understanding where the market's been and what some of the near-term indicators are. This engulfing envelope, or whatever you would call it, is Bollinger Bands with, I think, the standard two deviations, 2 sigma. This blue line here is the VWAP, and this is the volume profile where this is the point of control for the evening. Now, ideally, that would actually match up better with where the VWAP is. So my conjecture here is that even if silver wants to go up, rip up, it's going to want to at least test here or here before doing that. And if it blows past that, it's probably going to need to go down a little more. So safe exit is 0.065 and 0.055. We'll see what it does. It may not hit this 5.5 again. It may only pull back to where it's at now. Ugh. Hey, Sav, how you doing? I think I'm on probably like a 23-second delay. What do you actually use to base your trades on? Good question. I think I kind of answered that earlier in terms of like entries and how I use the depth of market. But I would say that probably 60% of my trades are reversals. So what I like to look for, whether it's in NQ or silver, is a clear indication of some sort of buyer exhaustion, right? So it would have been stupid to short it here. That's a huge gamble because the likelihood that it pushes higher is it's there. After you get a pullback like this, but I mean, if you try to get in a reversal where you're breaking short-term support right here and you take a short there, and then you're just scalping down to a previous level that acted as support and exiting here, that's a pretty safe trade. You can get a lot of those in on a day and have a real tight stop loss. Maybe you'd set it at the high a day. Maybe you'd set it, well, that's 5. I probably wouldn't have gone, I don't know, hard to tell where I would have went for a stop loss on that because of how highly leveraged silver is. Boy, it's just, it died on us. Yeah, no problem. What? No problem at all. I didn't mean to sound like a dick either. I was just saying, earlier in the video, I go over specifically how I like to use the depth of market and time and sales and things that I'm looking for. But that's on a real small micro scale. On the chart, what I look for is certain patterns that arise, and then I look at the DOM to see if there is in fact enough selling in here through the time and sales, and then there's people pulling out below. That's probably a good time to jump in. You can also base it off indicators like the MACD crossover, but you get a lot of false positives. Let's say you tried to short it here when it crosses over. You would have been short with very little opportunity to exit without a substantial loss from how hard it pushed up. So you want to view things on multiple time frames. I think it's a little bit neater for gold for NQ tonight, but most of the time, silver is pretty nice. It's quite clear when it is capitulating. Whereas right now it's just chopping. I see both these 9s pull, and there's only like 4 or 5 in each of these slots, and maybe 1 pulls from each of these, I would be looking to move this down a little bit to the 5-5. If it just blows past it and exits me for 250, fine. Interesting. Somebody caught on, put in a 10 there. Or added to the 7 or whatever was there. Okay, we're starting to get some selling there. Let's see if it breaks a VWAP. I don't like that weakness in selling that I'm seeing. I see you're using tick chart, and down below you have 1 tick, 1K tick. Yeah, so those are the, okay, that's on both of them. You would not ever really want to use 1 tick unless you're back testing with 1 tick and on multiple time frames. Most people, especially if you're trading NQ during the day, are going to want to use somewhere between 250 and 1,000. Okay, I don't like the push up that I just saw. Ton of buying in ES. But it didn't seem to impact the metals very much. So yeah, I do have different, I much prefer tick because essentially what it represents is an even amount of orders that are going through instead of a time-based measurement. So like right now, 1 minute would be pretty useless for picking out the little nuance details that you see in here. Compare this right here, the 1 minute for gold, to the 10 tick for gold. You're able to pick out where the peaks and troughs are a lot easier, in my opinion. And soon to be a losing trade. Well, it is losing. It's a $50 loss right now. Yeah, it's better to wait till 8 p.m. Central Time for silver. Okay, we're about to hit 6:30. And that tends to be when you see a little more action, from 6:30 to 7, and then you see a lot of action at 7 when the Japanese market open. What are the Sundays? There usually are not any economic data. Oh, Chinese stuff though. 8:15. That's a long ways out. Okay, that gives me some confidence to stay in silver a little longer, maybe. Let's see if gold just bases out here, starts to find buyers. VWAP is increasing. It could reject here. It looked like this was a pretty key level in the short term. This 27.37.5. Yeah, it got sold off to that and then bought up. Interesting. See if it keeps pushing lower. Because if it does, I might be willing to stay in this a little longer for, yeah, not much longer than that though. 0.025 would have to really crack. I'm going to wait until 8 and just get out of this. Probably not patient enough. It could fall off and then get some bids back down below here, but I'm not gonna. It's too choppy right now. Like I said earlier, the better move is if it breaks this level to go short. So if it broke there, then that would be a good short. Looks like that was a good decision. Take my $100 and not risk it. Too much chop. Damn, I didn't even notice my mic got unplugged. My bad. Damn, how'd that happen? Yeah, I went off on this whole explanation about Bollinger Bands and how on the 50 tick you see fewer false positives, like what Sav and I was talking about. That's why it's best to look at multiple time frames. Yeah, I was talking for a minute. And regarding Forex, no, I don't trade Forex currently. I did a long time ago. And it's not really worth it in these accounts because the amount of movement for the amount of leverage that you get is just No, I was focusing, and then when people ask questions, I try to answer them because I know there's a delay. I do it as quickly as possible. My bad, guys. But yeah, tons of false positives here. You went to go long here? I mean, you would have... That's just not worth it. That's why a higher time frame is... or using RSI in conjunction with it. How much? How many contracts do you go serious on the silver trades? Yeah, 5 contracts is quite a bit. You know, if you trade silver in AMP, it's $9,000 of day trading margin that you need per contract. So that's 45K, which is just insane. I mean, it makes sense given the amount of leverage, but with Tradeify and other brokers, it's not as much. Nice. Yeah, it doesn't take much. It's a psychological level, but if you look at it, it held on the break up. It's somewhat held as support here, but it did push below it. And it definitely pushed below it here. When volume dies off, it's more of a psychological level. On higher volume, it's going to push through it. I don't think it's going to be well respected, is my point, but it's definitely the safer thing to take out at 0.005 all day, especially with silver when it could tap that and rip up 10, 20 cents. You want to lock in those profits. The good thing, though, is if you're watching gold, you might have had a little bit more confidence to hold it a wee bit longer. Jeez. Dude, I told you, don't worry about the email. It'll come. I don't have one either. I don't expect it before Tuesday. It's a pretty decent pre-market sell-off, damn. 300 points. Yeah, I requested late September, early October as well. Had to put in a re-request through their damn dashboard. Lost several days because of it. Was approved on 2 of them, on 2 groups of 4 GTs. And then last week I couldn't even submit because the days were messed up for 4 other ones. Yeah, I paused them on Tuesday, I think. Patience would have got me with those 2 contracts to about $1,000. That's why you got to be more patient. Yeah, the double withdrawal stuff is irritating. Did they fix that yet, Cirrus? Yeah, trust is huge. What do they have? 4 announcements already tonight? Oh, we were working on compiling emails for payout dates. Oh, it's just showing up new on this Discord. It's on my desktop. Thanks for tuning in, Oscar. I use a combination of what I see in the depth of market and a variety of other weak indicators. I'd like to say that they have a pretty weak influence on how I trade, such as the MACD and RSI. Oh, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but the way I use Bollinger Bands isn't like I was talking about short when it crosses over and exit when it touches it again or something like that. There's different ways you can use it. I use it just more as a visual aid to understand what the volatility is at any given moment in conjunction with the ATR, which I have a 14-period ATR up here. So it, along with what I'm seeing in the DOM, allows me to pinpoint proper entries and exits a little bit better. Two minutes from the Nikkei open. Yeah, Oscar, if you join our Discord and ask me, myself or Cirrus can give you a link to his very first post and helpful videos, I think it's called. And then my post. So there's basically this multi-module price ladder trading course, which I think for new people is quite helpful. And then there's other channels that do a good job covering it. Fat Cat and the other one, along with CFT, does discuss a little bit how he uses arbitrage to trade treasuries. So there's some useful resources in there. Oops, I did not want to. Oops. Oh well. Oh, I have 4. Okay, interesting. Java, you trying to mess me up? Okay, I'm out there. It looks like it's trying to gain some momentum to the upside, but I don't trust that it's not just going to dump for a little while. Playing with fire. NKD can be rip your head off. Do you think it has a chance of hitting that 85 level on M? Yeah, NKD opened it 3 minutes ago. And it had a pretty big sell-off pre-market. And NQ didn't concur enough to... So 300 off those two. The other two were break even just because of where I entered. Yeah, it gets a pop-up. Can see one got sold at my price target, but the way the sim works is it has to actually go to 75 and fill the 75 for that to work. I don't think it's going to push up much more than that. I'm out. I don't trust NKD. I mean, the overall range of NQ parry has been about 40 points exactly. So does seem like it wants to respect the 500 level though, roughly. Oh wow, look at that, huh? This is a little easier to look at than the CME version of futures for NKD. Yeah, I think NQ is going to go higher too. I've said this other times, but you get this weird thing that happens where you get this consolidation of NQ before it rips higher, where normally you would think something like this here is more representative of like a bear flag for it to rip lower. But more times than not, it actually goes higher. It also, let's see how, okay, they're not open yet. Aussie market is open. It's looking pretty weak. Dollar index is falling, which is good for metals. Yeah, falling dollar is good for NQ as well. The question is really, why is it falling? And that's falling quicker than NQ is going up. Wow, look at that nice trend. Beautiful channel. Yep, exactly. Regarding the pivot, whether it'll hold or break. I bet in this case, Aussie's going up. Not much though. That's pretty meh. The yen is going up though. That should make them happy. NQ long? It's not a bad. I do think if it breaks this 10 level, though, it could very well go down and retest. This range, 501 to 503. Well, 500 to 502. Cheer for Cirrus and that it doesn't break. Oh, this isn't good. If we break this hard, NQ's gone down. If we break NKD, that's almost a guaranteed. So you better hope that this is a double bottom for NKD. Now, if it just hangs out there, then NQ can creep lower, higher. That should be pushing up the dollar. So it is your typical bear flag this time. See, you can never trust this bastard, this NKD. The normal thing would have been to consider this a bear flag and then for the break of the low to take that, but so many times I've seen it do this stuff where it does reverse. That's very odd. Tiny movement in the US dollar. Yeah, risk off for the Aussie. Yen keeps going. $100 loss isn't bad. What's up with this garbage gap? That can't be right. Well, I guess it is. weird because ES is pushing lower, but yeah, this thing might want to sell off hard. It's too bad. Okay. Lots of bid orders coming in on ES. Ah, NKD. Let's see if it breaks this resistance it's seeing. I have this yellow line on here from a long time ago, so don't pay much attention to it. I'm looking at this level here. If NKD can push above that and even make it up to this here, pretty good chance it'll go back up. But ton of sellers in here with not that many buyers. Let's get that stop in there in case it blows. There we go. Oops. Sorry, guys. You don't want to see that. That's NKD, but on a... Oh, now it's stuck. Go away. Lots of sellers up there, huh? Kind of get the impression that they're just going to suddenly pull. But... we're already in overbought territory for the RSI. Getting lots of pulling. Okay, that's looking nice. We go up to that level. Let's see what these 8s do. Okay. Deja vu, huh? There we go. Like to see some buying in there. Does it bother you, Cirrus, that I move it so much? As positions in the DOM are changing, I'm moving it. And then also, I would say that it's good practice to move it frequently to see if Rhythmic is delaying, because it'll be super obvious right away if Rhythmic starts to shit the bed when you're moving it like that. I can mute it too, or turn the volume down so that you don't hear the doo-doo. Come on, NQ. ES is holding on. Just gradually making these lower lows. Took the buy-in here as a sign that it could go up. Not nearly enough, though. Yeah, I'm long. There's not enough selling continuation at the moment for me to be worried about my long, but that could change on a flick of a wrist, because it's just seen it so many times at night do this, where it builds up a ton of buyers and then it pops and breaks the high. And when there's gaps, this is a good thing if it's in your direction. These types of gaps means that nobody's willing to put an order in there. So it's either going to be a good exit here, here or here. So basically every 5 points, like, well, not quite. It's trying to, I like what it's doing. But I'm out right there. Huh? That gap was bad. Let's see how severe this pullback is. Pretty confident in that exit. But just in case, I'll move it down to there. All right, we're out. Cancel the stop. All right, well, that was okay. Hi, Jack the Hunter. You get paid yet? Is that why you're here? Are you that Jack the Hunter? Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, there's a bit of a lag. I'm sure you noticed if you're looking at the charts. Yeah, sorry to hear that, man. You and Cirrus are both in the same boat. I mean, I'm waiting too, but I think mine's a little bit like 4 or 5 days after yours. So these accounts, the goal is about 2,000. I'm extremely confident I can make $430 tomorrow. So they're done. The other set's done because I'm not going to put a bunch of time in. Win payouts. So this was the first set, one set of 4. I may just bring that up to 500 to 800 tomorrow, both of these, but I'm not going to risk it right now because high leverage. You have to, when it's this choppy, you have to use more leverage and kind of scale in and scale out. Look at it go now, huh? We're going to get like a cup and a handle. Pull back here before it rips higher. Oh yeah, ES broke the same level, so ES is definitely stronger. All right, Cirrus, have a good night. I think it's about, oh, well, I can make that 500 pretty easily with metals. Actually, I would have made about 300 of it or more. Staying in. Yeah, actually, I'm feeling a little tired, so maybe I'll just call it a night. What do we get for these? 1570? Not bad. All right, guys, thank you for joining tonight. You have any questions, drop them in the comments. Be sure to subscribe. I try to stream every Sunday night. Last Sunday night I wasn't able to. So yeah, if you guys are interested in me streaming more during the week, I'd be willing to do that too. I think Power Hour would be fun. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. And everyone else, have a good night. Later.